Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we will be talking about two large winter storms that could be occurring. One will be smaller than the other. The first one that could be occurring on Thursday and Friday will be smaller, but then next week, potentially Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, there's a very good chance for a very large winter storm, a classic kind of cross-country massive beast. And yeah, I'll be splitting this into regions. For some of the regions, I do want to say I won't be kind of using just a regional map. I'll just show you the entire United States, but just talk about that region because different models on different websites, which I'm forced to use because I don't have every single model on one given website, so I kind of switch around. They don't have the same regions, so it's just a mess. So I apologize for that, but yeah, if there was just a GFS model that was forecasting this system, then I'd be showing you that, or there was no differences, but unfortunately the Europeans show something else, the GFS, so that is that. Yeah, and let's start talking about this. We are looking at a very active pattern as we head into Christmas, or I guess December, I should say. I wanted to say that there's a good potential for a white Christmas for a good portion of the United States. I've said this in the past few videos. Definitely higher than it has been in the past few years. There doesn't look like there will be any large heat wave across any given portion of the United States. Cold air will be pretty abundant towards the north and west, though it may not be necessarily spilling further south and west. It may just kind of be there, but that kind of allows a contrast between temperatures to form and some pretty big systems to result. Alright, so first off, before I get into this, I just want to show you the overall radar, not for any given region, just for the whole entire United States. Notice we do have some activity going on across Wisconsin, Minnesota, mainly in form of light snow showers. We also have some rain occurring across mainly the southeast. You can see Atlanta, Alabama. I meant to say Georgia. Atlanta is one of the cities that's getting impacted by that rain. Just a overall active pattern with a lot of different disturbances. Notice nothing of these are really going to accumulate into anything big. The maximum areas do have some winter weather advisories across the northern plains for 1 to 3 inches of snow, across Montana for a similar amount, and across the Colorado Rockies into Utah to Wasatch and into the Sierra Nevada, and across Canada we have some extreme cold air, which again I was mentioning is going to be periodically kind of visiting the United States Canadian border, but for now it's stuck up towards the north. And yeah, some of these wind chills minus 45 and 50, I believe that is in Celsius, but the thing is that at negative 40 Celsius and Fahrenheit are equal, so it's pretty much the same. In terms of magnitude of cold, it's pretty incredible. Looking at the National Weather Service weather radiation map, again, not much yet on the map. There are again a few areas, but for now a calm yet pattern that has a lot of potential, and that's what we will be talking about. Okay, let's start off with the Northwest. So let's start off by looking at the European model. Again, European, I won't be focusing again zooming in on this region, but I'll just be talking about it. So right now, the Northwest is dealing with just, again, some precipitation, mainly that occurred yesterday. There will be some brief bouts as we head into Tuesday, into Wednesday. You could see into Montana, potentially into Washington again as well. Just some light precip, nothing too incredible for the first few days. And really the thing is that these two storm systems that are going to be occurring are going to be rather one of them is going to be developing kind of away from the Northwest, so you're not going to feel any of its impacts. The second one is. So notice that, and there's going to be an intermediate one that's only going to affect the Northwest and not really turn into a big storm, and that's on Thursday. Notice that for folks across the Northwest on Thursday, you could be looking at, especially the coastal areas of Oregon and Washington, quite a bit of snowfall and rainfall depending on your location. There could be a lot of snow for this time of the year because of how cold the air will be. And notice Idaho into portions of Montana, into Wyoming. Again, we're also picking up a little bit of snow, but this wave quickly disintegrates, and you can see that nothing really results of this, and yeah, that's why it's only going to be for you guys, this wave, pretty much. The rest of the country doesn't see the impacts. However, that storm that I'm talking about, that second one you can see on Friday, begins occurring on Saturday. It comes in pretty strong, 987 millibars, quite a bit of strong winds, a lot more precipitation than the one on Thursday. So again, activity starting Thursday. Up until then, the next few days are pretty calm, and notice this one is going to be bringing a lot of impacts, and this one, unlike the first, or sorry, the first one on Thursday is going to be a lot more well put together. It's not going to disintegrate, and it's going to push all the way through. You can see Wyoming getting in on this, Utah, and that's the system that's going to be making its way into the plain states. So in terms of the snowfall from this, you can see, again, we do have some disagreement, obviously, the further we go out, but it's pretty likely that there will be at least something impacting the Northwest. Funny enough, because it's the furthest out and the closest to the system, kind of the system's going to be impacting the Northwest first, right? So that's the area that we have the most confidence in. So I guess consider yourself lucky with that. Notice in terms of precipitation amounts, really quite some incredible amounts of precipitation, especially by the coasts. But again, as that system takes place across the Midwest, we can see some accumulations that are additionally pretty heavy across, especially the areas that aren't going to be necessarily as impacted by that first wave. So yes, quite a bit of rainfall. In terms of total snowfall, also quite a bit, assuming that 10-to-1 ratio. You can see many areas pick up quite a bit, and again, some of these areas are still going to be a little bit different from the final result, as especially once that system starts strengthening, there are some models that start disagreeing. But one thing you could take away, rather snowy. Even the large cities like Portland could pick up a few inches, Seattle maybe, especially if it gets cold enough there, but I would say more bullish on Portland. And yeah, the mountains are obviously going to be picking up a lot of snowfall. So let's now start talking about the southwestern United States. And for the Southwestern United States, I'll go to the GFS model and show you this one first, and I'll show you the European. For the Northwestern section, I don't know if anyone's watching this that actually watched the Northwestern section, because I divide this into regions, but I only show the European model because that one has more agreement, but the Southwest is a little bit more iffy. So this is the GFS. Notice for the Southwest, again, we don't have that much activity for the next few days. We do have some showers, so it's not going to be completely dry. Certain areas like southern Nevada, southern Utah, Colorado could be picking up a little bit of precipitation, but notice that by Thursday, especially across the eastern areas of the Southwest here into Colorado, maybe New Mexico, we will start seeing some precipitation as a result of the strengthening low pressure here, and that could result again in some additional snowfall accumulations. So through Thursday, in terms of the total snowfall, you can see it's definitely there. It's not too incredible, but mainly centered across Colorado and Utah, while the Sierra Nevada and northern Arizona are seeing minimal amounts of snowfall. In terms of rain, again, you can see pretty weak snow and rainfall footprint. This is where things get active, though. Starting Thursday, we see a system that moves into the Northwest. This starts dragging itself down into the Southwest, and you can see that it drags in a lot of precipitation here. And the Sierra Nevada potentially could get impacted by a big storm on Saturday. This continues, this moisture flow well into Sunday. And this is when we start seeing a potential large system develop across the plains, and from the remaining moisture across the Pacific Ocean. So I notice Arizona, California, Nevada, you could be picking up a lot of moisture from this, especially during the latter part into Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And while we have a massive system that starts occurring across the east, for your southwestern section here, guys, you will be seeing just storm after storm, and you can see even that one comes through. Maybe the eastern sections get a little bit of a break, but moisture back again at it across California and Nevada and Utah. Apologize. All right, and then notice another system that forms through. But let's stop it there because that's a little bit too far out, and we're, at this point we're starting to talk about a third system. So, in terms of the total accumulated precipitation from all these systems, you can see the Southwest is going to be pretty impacted by this. Again, the next few days, not so much, but starting Thursday, we see that moisture flow intensify off the Pacific Ocean, and then into the weekend, that continues into Monday, Tuesday, it reaches its kind of maximum, and from then, maybe a bit calmer, but still active pattern. Obviously, the rainfall amounts here will be rather significant. Total snowfall is also very significant. Now, if we were to take a look at the European model, this is what it shows in terms of the total snowfall for the Southwest. Again, in relative good agreements with the GFS, there's not a single model that doesn't show activity across the Southwest. You can see the GFS shows maybe a bit more activity towards Arizona, New Mexico, Southern California. European limits that maybe, so that, again, that's a difference we'll have to be kind of watchful for. And unlike the GFS, the European brings this in kind of in a little bit of a different fashion. So again, quiet till Thursday. We see that first wave, right? Notice the European disintegrates that Thursday wave a lot quicker than the GFS, and then brings in a separate distinct wave on Saturday and Sunday. So again, still active, but just a little bit of a difference there. That's still important to note. Okay, let's now move on into the north central United States. This is where things really start getting interesting, and this is where I guess I'll have to spend the most amount of time talking about, because here's where we have the true impacts of that first and second storm, while the Northwest and Southwest were more of these areas that kind of get don't really see the storm itself, just kind of the energy from that allows this storm to develop further on across the north central United States. So again, the north central United States. So let's zoom in with the GFS model, and notice there's going to be quite a bit of activity in the meantime. Nothing too incredible. Again, maybe just a winter weather advisory across the Dakotas, maybe some rain showers. Nothing that's going to be too alarming. Cold, a little bit colder towards the north, a little bit warmer towards the south. Again, nothing incredible. By Thursday, we start seeing the surge of moisture coming from the south. This one is going to be pretty impressive, and there's a lot of disagreement here amongst the models how this exactly performs, and I'll show you the different modeling here. So notice the GFS shows this system coming in Thursday and into the nighttime, potentially developing some snow across Nebraska. Again, mainly rain, a little bit of snow across Wisconsin and maybe Michigan, and then it's out of here by late Friday. So in terms of total rainfall, obviously from the little events prior to this, but mainly this big system, you could see it's pretty, it's definitely there. It's a pretty significant rainfall footprint, but again, mainly falling in the form of rain, maybe some snow. The most significant amount probably that's going to be most consistent and agreed upon by the models is across the Dakotas. Now, looking at this, you may think, okay, so the first storm doesn't have that many big impacts. Sorry about that. And you would be right. However, the European is showing something completely different, and let me show you this. So notice that the European, okay, so it shows that little activity right across the northern United States. Again, keeps it calm, so at least it doesn't show, a third system out of nowhere. But there you can see there's that moisture flow coming in, and again, I don't want to focus in, I can't really zoom in onto the north central United States like I did here because pivotal weather is divided differently. It divides the north central United States into 3 regions. So I'll just show you the whole entire United States, but talk about the north central United States only. So do note that again, this system starts off, it's a little bit slower than the GFS. The GFS, if you recall, by Thursday, it's already a bit further north, this low pressure, and a bit further eastward. The European immediately has a lot more snow with this. You can see across Nebraska, South Dakota, into Iowa, and it starts converting a lot of this snow or rain into snow, and some of this will be falling heavily. So again, there's a little bit of differencing here. This may not seem too different, and it really isn't, but the thermal profiles are so slight that just a few degrees, a little bit of a difference in track could mean a snow system or just a regular old rain event. And this is the first snowstorm. I'm calling this the first snowstorm because I'll show you some of these snowfall amounts. They're pretty significant, and notice that this thing quickly weakens as it moves into Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. So again, through hour about 126, let's stop it right here and show you some of the rainfall amounts. Again, pretty significant, regardless of whether it's rain or snow. The liquid precip is pretty significant. Nothing record-breaking, but there could be some 1 to 2 inch amounts. And then the total snowfall. Obviously, if the European scenario is correct, there could be areas of 9 or 8+ inches of snow. So that's why I'm saying this could be a significant event. And compared to the GFS, I mean, it's completely different. So that's why we have to stay focused, and I guess not stay focused, but that's why we have to make that distinction between the GFS and the European. Now, let me show you what else we could be looking at in the future, because that's just the one system. The second storm system comes later on Tuesday and Monday. So notice we see an influx of precipitation, a southerly flow indicating more weather change, and you can see that's exactly what happens. So there's a lot of disagreement amongst the models on this one, obviously, but most models show some sort of a system. Notice the GFS shows snow towards Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and a lot of rain further elsewhere, right? So that's definitely something we'll have to watch for. This is going to be around a week from today. So within a week, there could be 2 big systems. Yeah, it's a lot of activity, folks. Now the European is rather, again, disagreeing with the GFS to quite an extent that, is not actually incredible for the time it's out, because it at least shows a storm system. It's just differently. So there's that first one, and you can see for the north central United States, the second system that occurs, you can see is a lot more snowy for the north central United States. It's more of a southern track compared towards the GFS, and it shows snow way further south across Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Illinois, not as far north. There could be areas that, according to the GFS, are seeing thunderstorms in Wisconsin, while the GFS or European shows snow across the same areas. But again, there's that Tuesday, Wednesday time frame, so it shows a storm system. It's just different. And just to kind of add insult to injury in terms of the confusion, the Canadian also agrees with the models that there's going to be a storm system around this same time frame, and you can see that it's even further south than what the European shows. Again, honestly, for the amount that it's far out, almost 200 hours out, the consistency and agreement the relative agreement, that there will be a storm summer here is pretty good. It's just, again, the details will have to get refined. This one could be a lot more significant, obviously, than that first one, and the snowfall footprint that's left behind from this would also be quite a bit more significant. And if you were to take a look at the total snowfall, assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, it would be, yeah, you could see there's that first one, there's that second one. A lot of snow would be added on. So yeah, some areas, especially if the first system comes true and the second one as well across the same areas, could end up with over 2 feet of snow. All right, let's start talking about the South Central United States. Again, because of the differencing in modeling, I won't be showing you the specific region. I'll just be showing you the entire United States, and I'll just be talking about the South Central United States. So for the next, again, the South Central United States includes mainly kind of this area here, excluding the Southeast and Southwest, as those are separate regions. So notice that for the next few days, relatively quiet. There will be some showery activity towards the north and east here across Arkansas, Tennessee, maybe, and a little bit across Texas, intensifying throughout Tuesday and Wednesday, eventually kind of developing into this long out cold front. And then once we see the energy from the southwest move in on late Wednesday into Thursday, we see a significant strengthening. We see a little bit more strong rain, a little bit more showery weather, and we see that rainstorm develop. So again, you can see this won't be a snow system for you. This will be mainly in the form of rain for the South Central United States, and that thing's out of there by Friday. If you're to take a look at a different model like the European model, it's very consistent and similar. Again, pretty dry, a little bit of a strengthening here on Thursday, and then that system develops and moves out of here. So at least that's that. The South Central United States is a region that's relatively in an agreement with the most models, so it's not as hard as, say, the North Central United States, where there's a lot more chaos and activity that will have to be sorted out in next coming days. And in that second storm system that I'm talking about, the South Central United States, I'll just show you this one. Again, more precipitation, most likely in form of rain. You can see coming in here on Saturday, Sunday, but that's not still the big storm. Obviously, that's something we'll have to watch for. As you can see, it develops quite a bit of potentially maybe some severe weather there. But that second storm system occurs around a 200-hour time frame, and again, obviously will bring up a little bit of warm air, especially across the eastern areas of the South Central United States. And again, mainly for rain, though there could be some severe weather depending on exact track of this. So no snow for you, but following the system, there could be a bit of a blast of chilly air that makes its way pretty far down to the south. So that's something also definitely notable. So that is the South Central United States. I want to show you, though, the second system from the GFS's perspective, since I showed you both these systems from both models, and I showed you the European now, the second one. Let me show you the GFS version. It's a lot of talking here, but hopefully you understand. So again, like the European, the GFS does show some precipitation across Sunday and Saturday. We'll have to watch that. It's not as intense as what the European shows, but definitely something we'll have to watch for. And notice, as that big system comes through, there's a lot more moisture that it shows across Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Texas, and that is definitely something that could cause some severe weather. And you could see that the difference in modeling, it makes quite a big of a difference there. But also, rain doesn't show snow. So that's that. Now let's take a glance at the northeastern United States. So first off, the next few days are going to be mainly rainy. You can see there actually could be quite a bit of rain, unlike the rest of the United States, where these little showers accumulate into some pretty good swaths, pretty good coverage into Tuesday and Wednesday. However, by Thursday, we do see some clearing out, so that's good for the Northeast. We do see a surge of moisture you can see across the north central United States, so as it reaches the Northeast, it will be obviously bringing a little bit of rain, but mainly for the lower kind of Northeast areas, Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, Thursday and Friday. As you can see, this system quickly weakens and doesn't really result in much. Maybe some snow we'll have to watch for across Pennsylvania and Maryland. So that's the first system, right? And again, there is still quite a bit of disagreement even on this first one. As you can see, if I were to show you the European model interpretation of what it does across the Northeast, again, Tuesday, Wednesday looks pretty wet. Both models show that, but then that event on Thursday, you could see it does show a lot more rain making its way into Pennsylvania, maybe even upstate New York, and it doesn't really show much snow across Pennsylvania. So that's the GFS version. Again, we'll have to see whether or not, which model is correct. For now, I would say the European, I'm leaning towards it. It's been more consistent, but that doesn't mean that it can't, still obviously change. Now, regarding that second system, so, you're going to have a few days of break. Now, Saturday, Sunday, this upcoming weekend should be pretty nice. It won't be too cold, won't be too warm. So as we go forward into time, the Northeast is not as confident, the area as further westward, because obviously that system will be impacting the areas further west first, so it's a few days less out, so more confidence there. But the northeast does seem to get at least something out of this. You can see the European does show some snow, mainly converting into rain later on, so again, kind of like a thought of snow first before some more rain continues. Again, a very big system. This one's going to be a lot bigger than that first one, and this is definitely something to watch for. And you can see maybe two low pressures develop. Well, yeah, it's definitely chaotic, and if it were to come true, a lot of precipitation will be falling, obviously in a form of rain and snow. And you can see that the snowfall, according to the European, which again I'm favoring, but there's still quite a bit of differencing, especially on that second one. It would show quite a bit of snow across upstate areas. The GFS now, they don't agree on this first one, the GFS and European, and then if you look at the second one, they also don't agree. Good thing is they do show a second storm, so that's good. However, it's again, you can see mainly in the form of rain, a little bit of snow. It's completely different, but it's around that similar timing of around a week from today, a bit more. So that is definitely something we'll have to watch for. And again, you can see the GFS does show quite a bit of precipitation, but in terms of the snowfall, it's a lot more meager. So that's that's something we'll have to take note of. Now let's go on into the southeastern United States. So both models are relatively, again, mainly showing rain for the southeast. There's not going to be any snow, right? So at least that makes it a bit easier than the north central United States and the northeast, where we have that rain-snow differencing and makes forecasting, oopsies, a lot harder. Let's go back to this European and show you. The next few days are going to be a bit wet. You can see Wednesday, Tuesday, showery activity, especially towards the northern part of the southeast. Florida, Alabama, Georgia, the southern areas may not be as wet, though still getting some precipitation, especially on as this system that we see intensify across the north central United States may have a cold front that it drags with it. That can bring some showery weather, and you can see right there, bringing it pretty far towards the south, though it doesn't look anything of too severe note. And you can see that is pretty much out of here by Saturday and Sunday. Over the weekend, though, the European, you can see, shows a pretty intense system. The GFS does not show this, so that's something, interesting. We'll have to see if it's a bit weaker, a bit stronger. But yeah, quite a bit of rain for the southeast there across Sunday and Monday, and then we see that second large winter storm bringing in a lot of activity, potentially some good amounts of severe weather and rain. And this would be Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So several areas to watch for. Again, the next few days, Thursday and Friday with that cold front, then Sunday and Monday with that kind of third system. And then or that third event, and then the fourth area to watch would be this big second big system, but for the southeast would be the fourth kind of big event. So yeah, a lot of differencing, or a lot of activity, and I meant to say differences between the GFS, as I'm going to show you now. GFS, at least it agrees with the European, a lot of activity for the northern areas for the next few days, just like the European. But again, there's that system on Thursday and Friday. It could be bringing a little bit of that showery weather pretty far south. Nothing too severe, but what it does do in its wake is kind of leave a lot of instability and a lot of moisture, and you can see the GFS, like the European, does develop some sort of a system here across the south, though unlike the European, it doesn't really make this thing too strong. It only impacts Mississippi, maybe Tennessee and Alabama with a bit of showers on Sunday and Monday. And then with that big second winter storm, you could see that there could be quite a bit of weather and a cold front that blasts through, again, around that Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. So at least all models are showing those two big events. So the one, the one that's going to be a Thursday, Friday, and then that it's not going to be that big for the southeast, but it's still going to be there. And then that bigger one for the southeast on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then that one on Sunday, Monday is going to be a bit of a difference. The models like the GFS doesn't really show much. The European does show quite a bit. Again, based on modeling differences and what the European has been doing compared to the GFS, I would say the European is a favored scenario, but again, we'll have to wait and see. Okay, now I just kind of want to do a general overview of the United States. Again, doing this by region is cool for you guys. It gives you a better look. You don't have to watch the whole video, but I like kind of making this a little bit more conclusive for everyone, and just myself. It kind of brings me a little bit of sanity that I could just, do forms of videos that I kind of used to do, as it's still kind of hard to get adjusted to the new types. But do note that, like the European, let's just talk about this. So notice the European again shows that system on that first one on Thursday and Friday, right? I want to talk about this one a little bit more, because this one has that uncertainty with those, with that rain to snow transition, and you can see that across the central United States, that could be a lot of snow. But if you were to look at the GFS, there really wouldn't be. You can see it's mainly rain, and there's that. So I agree more with the European, and the reason for this is, if you were to take a look at the models and ensembles, so the EPS, this is the European family, right? So this is many models combined from the European family, and it's kind of an average look at them. This is what they show for that system. You can see they show generally, obviously, the amounts, if it were to occur, would be higher, but there are models, there's 50 in this ensemble, probably that show nothing, some that show a foot, so they kind of take the average, and you can see, on average, it's been pretty consistent, and you could go back as far as a few days, they've been showing this swath of snow already, and you can see they've been intensifying it more because probably they're becoming more and more into agreement as the system is less and less further out. Now notice that the second one, there's a lot more agreement, but again, this first one, there is some. And if you're to take a look at the GFS's family, so kind of the GFS family, and its snowfall, its agreement, its ensembles, it's a lot less significant. Obviously, it shows less snow, but if you're to look at the last few days, there's been more jumping around. You can see it's not as consistent with the track. There's some model runs that it maybe shows a little bit more agreement, a little bit more disagreement, and both models have been stubbornly consistent, which kind of makes it worse because, well, which one is it, eventually going to be? We could start looking at some of the high-res models like the NAM 12KM. You can see the NAM 12KM does show some additional snow, so more like the European scenario. Again, though, the NAM 12KM is known to have kind of a colder bias, so it doesn't really help too much. RGEM, a high-res Canadian model, that's the thing. The Canadian is more in line with the European than the GFS, and that may be why I'm leaning also with the European more, because when a Canadian and GFS usually agree, it's usually a sign that, there's been very few times where the Canadian and European agree and the GFS doesn't, and then the GFS turns out to be right. So I think this could be a pretty snowy event. And then regarding that bigger system on early next week, there's still a lot of disagreement, but at least I'm happy that their models are all showing a system. You can see there's the GFS, Canadian showing something different, but a system, and then a European. So again, the timing wise, well, this is the 90-hour version, but the European also shows that system on Tuesday and Wednesday. So yeah, and you can see that the European and Canadian are also pretty similar. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. A lot of differences, but I do believe we have a lot of active weather, and hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Hopefully you learned something new. I'll keep you guys updated, especially on this first one, since it's, only a few days out. But for now, that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya. Bye.